Yes, sir. Good afternoon, everybody. Uh, I welcome all our speakers as well as audience for the warehousing ecosystem. And I thank you also to be being here for making it a great beginning. Uh, I have been thinking about what is that we need to really deliberate on in this particular forum. And when we look at the larger deliberation that has been happening in a lot of webinars and symposiums and summits, digital summits, I find that we have really dealt with COVID in a big way, in a more elaborate way. And out here also, we took up the theme of sustainability, visibility, and resilience in terms of warehouses and the larger supply chain, in order to see that we continue with the debate. But in the keynote session, I thought I'll raise few fundamental issues which get ignored even at the time of pandemics, and more so at the time of pandemics. If you see the pandemic itself, one of the major outcomes of pandemic was supply shock. And one of the supply shock outcomes actually happened and started in China as a single source country. When one has analyzed such kind of supply shocks, even with different kind of disruptions that have taken place in terms of floods, in terms of tsunamis, in terms of earthquakes, what one has found is that the supplies from the first tire is known to everybody, but what goes on into the subsequent tire is not known to anybody. And I think one of the most important element of shocks that happen in the supply chain, largely in your material procurement, is essentially it comes from tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, tier 4, tier 5, tier 9, tier 10, suppliers. Suddenly you find that everybody you are secure with, and there is a tier 13 supplier which does not have the sufficient supplies, like what IBM faced during the period of tsunami in Japan. What do you do about it? And it raises a very fundamental question beyond this. If you see the world has gone through so many disruptive events like natural disasters. Even if you've seen in India, we have been seeing flood, some kind of storm in Calcutta, then you saw it Nisarg in Mumbai, you see hurricanes in US. You find that these disruptions are going to stay. And these are also disruptions that would make pandemic kind of disruptions even more deadlier and will have a lot of impact both on life and livelihood. So I thought I will take up a issue which is very pertinent to looking in future, and that is sustainability. My same example of supply shock, we do not know where do you actually source your supplies from. Are we complying with the greater agreements called ESG compliances? Are we really taking care of them? And you find that you do not know what in the subsequent tire we do. Do we really follow the minimum sustainability practices? Do we follow the minimum social norms of child labor, of minimum wages? Do you have transparency of what is being, from where it is being sourced? Do we have appropriate governance in organization? I think there's a big question in an unorganized sector in India. Now, this ESG compliance is an important element when you define your strategy post-pandemic too, because sustainability is going to be another dimension which will catch up very fast when we move away from such disruptions like pandemic, which are going to be definitely defining the new normal or the next normal, is the sustainability which will be part of the past normal and the new normal and the next normal. Now, how do you really look at it? In fact, when you look at sustainability, you find that ESG report says that only 39 to 40% of the global corporations are somewhere close by 40% of the requirements of ESG. That means a large number of even global corporations are not really adhering to the norms. When we relate these global corporations to 3PLs, we find that very few 3PLs are actually adhering to the economic, social, and governance norms. There are very few, and in very few countries, even some of the top 3PLs in the world may not really adhere to the norms. Now, when we really look at it, global corporations are adhering to the norms. Their 3PLs are not adhering to the norm. There's a disconnect there. How do we bring sustainability? What are those parameters where we definitely need to look into and incorporate them into our sustainability this thing? I think there's a very strong debate throughout the world as to how transportation and warehousing can be located post this pandemic in order to see that they minimize the movement of trucks and emissions, and hence the impact on the total carbon emissions. What is also important to realize is that how do geography of a nation states gets made, created by the governments and the fundamental infrastructure player, where location becomes a big challenge. And in India, location is a big challenge because suddenly you are talking about consolidating warehouses. With pandemic, we are talking about, oh, the consolidation is over and now we will have hub and spoke model more in a hyper local way. I think we should not be very conclusive. We should really be very, 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 you know, clear in our mind that a network is a network that optimizes the cost of network, obviously, yes, but reduces carbon emission. It could not be just either a consolidated or a fragmented. It could be a very brilliant weave of consolidation along with hub. So this is the first paramount, because even around this, if you look at city logistics, and you need to build the infrastructure of city logistics by using the ring roads and the outer ring roads to see that we reduce carbon emission. We should really start planning well so that we reduce carbon emission. So this is one of the fundamental things. But very important, as we have Greenbase is sponsoring our conference, there's one thing that is very important in the process is that how are we evaluating our investments in warehousing? What about, is the site sustainable? Is the site water efficient? Is there an energy and infrastructure optimization? And how we really use material which are, recycled? Do we have the design within the warehouses that really adheres to the norms of consumer satisfaction and consumer requirement, especially in hazardous goods? Now, these are very significant part of it. In terms of moving away from this basic sustainability, one more sustainability that really needs to be seen and one needs to be adhered is that in a very changing world where capitalism is at its nemesis, and everybody is talking about how the world is moving in a very different direction. We supply chain guys are talking about diversification, moving from single source country to multiple source country, localization. But there is a large impact in terms of social worldwide. In fact, if you look at the World Economic Forum reports on country and look at it, you find that there's a significant impact on livelihoods of the most vulnerable segment of the society. I think in India, it is not to be said anything. The way the migrants have been, affected, I would not say treated, affected in this pandemic, and how they have, the story of their moving from Mumbai to UP and Bihar and Odisha and Kolkata is something which is a tale-telling in itself. How do we use these experiences in future to create a socially viable, socially inclusive, equitable ways of planning our warehouses, our businesses, and how do we become socially responsible? And this kind of social responsibility, it has exposed corporates, it has exposed government, it has exposed NGOs to a very great extent. I think a country like India and a country like even in some other countries in Africa were little affected at this point of time, they have been going. We need to integrate the whole labor force in a big way. I think there could be diversification within India. Why locate warehouses closer only to the hubs of consumption? Why not closer to the hubs of labor? Why can't we have landlocked states like UP or Bihar become a hub of smaller manufacturing, which can actually do a great benefit to the localities, bring equitable distribution, inclusive in terms of getting the labor jobs, and labor has a better quality of life. I think this is one fundamental challenge that is there, because even if I see the rise of a huge industrial investment in warehousing, and I think we are happy to see that India is seeing this turn. I'm also seeing a very interesting trend that is happening, and that trend is that we are moving towards funding all those experiments which are ESG compliant. I think that itself throws a very strong suggestions to all those players, small or big, that investments have to be ESG compliance. Yes, they have to be with quality independent board and governance. It has to have community into the place. It has to be equitable. And I think most 39% investments that have come up is industrial spaces, because the ESG investments is looking at inclusive warehouses. And I think Hemant is presenting, or Hemant is having a fire chat with Girish on this as we go ahead. Second thing is that, and second theme that I would like to say is that we have been talking about planning the supply chain, from suppliers to manufacturers to distributor to consumer. I can tell you that we still work in the world of a broken silos and broken hierarchies. And all the time when we get into trouble, we work together. In fact, what I've been seeing and interviewing a lot of people for our portal, we have been seeing that everybody has started working together just because the pandemic demands that. How can you just work together during pandemic? The firefighting which used to happen, which has exposed the vulnerability of the supply chain and a disconnected warehouse in a big way, requires something big. It is not ERP, not APO, but moving towards a cloud-based technology and solution, autonomous planning solutions, where your supplier, your manufacturing plant, your production processes, your distribution, your retailers and your customers are linked, so that you are connected in a way and there is a visibility, and they have the capability to map your suppliers and map your destination of distribution, and and warehouses, and can understand what is the kind of warehouse. It is a production warehouse, or it's just a distribution warehouse. And you can then get the data, and you can actually make warehouses the rerouting part of the larger logistics system, which becomes a very strong part of the supply chain system. So like in pandemic, when you are in trouble, you can secure your warehouses and secure your transportation, not because you had a partner, you had partnered with him, he helped you, because you can see the visibility and you had partnered already. You treat him as a part of your supply chain, and this is what is happening. So the world, I think, is going to move towards two very important elements. One is connected planning, connected supply chain, and connected with sustainability in a big way. That's what the world will demand, and the future generation and future children will demand. So with this, I end here, and I thank everybody of you here. You will have a very lovely 3 panels which will deal with different aspects of this particular challenges that we are facing in warehousing space today. Thank you very much.